Hey everybody, welcome to another War Thunder pilot video. This is Worcestershire, and today we are taking a look at the BF-109 F-4. The BF-109 F-4 is a rank 3 German fighter with a battle rating of 4.3 in arcade. In this video, I'll walk you through a recent arcade battle. I'll tell you what I was thinking and why I was doing what I was doing, to hopefully give you some insight to how to fly this plane and what it's capable of. I spent the first minute or two of this match just climbing up to an altitude of about 15,000 feet when I noticed this XP-50 at high altitude. That's a really good fighter, so I just focused on him until I took him out. The BF-109 F-4 is probably one of the best fighters at mid-tier in arcade battles. It can outfly and outmaneuver almost any other plane at this BR, even in up-tier situations, especially if you employ energy fighting tactics. This plane is really good at many different things. It has a high sustained climb rate, a very low stall speed, doesn't lose much energy in turns, accelerates really well, it can fly really well at both high and low altitude. It's really a complete energy fighter. I'm in a good position to attack this ME-264, so I line up to take a shot. I crittered him and then zoomed past to make it more difficult for his gunners to hit me, then used my speed to circle back around and take him out. Then go into a gradual climb to try to get some altitude back. The guns on this plane are amazing, especially when loaded with air target ammo. You'll notice I've opted to add the two wing-mounted 15mm machine gun cannons, and I've found that it did affect this plane's performance, but very little, not enough to outweigh the benefits of having extra firepower. Go ahead and try this plane with and without the gun pods, but for me personally, I had a much easier time taking planes down with the gun pods. Since this plane is such a good energy fighter, I'm trying to maintain my high altitude and attack enemies from above with vertical booming and zooming. For me, the thing that really sets this plane apart is its low stall speed, which makes it an ideal plane for spiral climbing and energy trapping your enemies. To show you what I'm talking about, I'm going to interrupt this match to show you a clip from a previous match. So I shot down this Yak 9K, and now I have a Yak 9T on my 6, and I'm just trying to shake him. Since I know I can't outturn him, I'm going to employ a spiral climb to try to energy trap him. And here I've slowed all the way down to about 55 miles per hour, but you can see I'm still able to prop hang while the Yak 9T is starting to stall. Alright, back to the original match, where I am just positioning myself to boom and zoom these enemy bombers that have spawned in. I easily take out the B-25 and then do a vertical loop to circle around. I'm lining up for an attack on the FW200 when I notice this P39, so I refocus on him. Now I'm just looking around to make sure there aren't any other enemy fighters nearby and also try to relocate that FW200. I couldn't spot him, so I just go into a gradual climb away from the enemy airfield. As I'm circling back, I notice that there are two friendly bombers bombing the enemy airfield, so I decide I'll try to cover them. I spot a P-51 climbing underneath me, so I dive down for an attack. As I'm climbing back up, I see that the enemy B-34 has been attacking one of our bombers. And now there's a P-39 climbing up towards our last remaining bomber. And he's taken out by a friendly P-47, so I refocus on this enemy bomber. I go into gradual climb and just check around to see if any other fighters are coming for me or the bomber. I'm just trying to stay at high altitude and only go after any fighters that climb up to me or go for the friendly PE-8. Now I'm just keeping an eye on this P-51, P-400, and P-38 as it looks like they're getting close to my altitude. I go for an attack on the P-51 first as he's behind the P-400. Then I go into a climb and circle back around to attack the P-400. Now I'm just climbing back up again and making sure there aren't any other fighters going after me. Now I see that that P-38 has been climbing towards our PE-8, so I'm going to prioritize him. I spot this P-51 climbing up at me, so I just climb a little bit more to make sure you can't get me. And that P-51 is determined to get me, so I just focus on him and try to position myself for an attack. I only managed a critical hit on head-on attack, So I loop around to see if I can line up another shot. It looks like the P-51 is just trying to dive away, which is a good move. So I just take some short bursts to see if I can do further damage. I set him on fire and decide to climb back up because I want to continue protecting our bomber. At this point, I see that our bombers are getting really close to taking out the enemy airfield, so I decide to get a little bit more aggressive. I've got a good angle on this P-63 and I'm hoping for a quick kill. I only get a crit, so I loop around to see if I can line up another shot. I set him on fire and I decide to just dive away from the enemy airfield because I see several fighters close by. And even with just a shallow dive, the BF-109 F-4 is able to accelerate away from enemies and out of their range. Looking back, I see that none of the enemy fighters followed me all the way from the airfield. So I joined in on attacking this enemy FW-190. Now I'm just taking out some ground targets and waiting for some enemies to make it to the front line. They don't seem to be pushing through to the front line, so I just go into a gradual climb and turn back towards the enemy airfield. I see the enemy airfield is about to be taken out, so I just try to get as many kills in before the game ends. I do a vertical loop to try to evade this P-63 that's on my 6. Then I notice this P-38 coming straight at me and I go for the head-on attack. We end up colliding, but luckily the game ends before I crash into the ground. I had a great game flying the BF-109 F-4. I ended up with 17 kills and no deaths. In arcade, you really can't go wrong with the BF-109 F-4. It does so many things really well. It can outclimb most opponents. It has excellent energy retention both in the vertical and when turning. It has a very low stall speed, and it has amazing guns. That is it for this video, everybody. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, please give it a like and let me know what you think in the comments. Take it easy, everybody. I'll see you in the next one.